Hello, everybody, and happy Wednesday. It's so good to see you all here. Coming back on this Friday. Actually, it's the 5:30 on Wednesday. I was actually wishing it was Friday. Wouldn't that be nice? But we're in the middle of the week. It's kind of hump day, but it's now the time to get together and talk about, our favorite subject. What is it about spirituality? What is it about ourselves? How do we relate to spirit? And how is it that we can really connect with spirit? What is it that we have to do to improve our spirituality? As you saw from what I was kind of giving you a preview before we came on, one of the things I really wanted to talk about today was how can we learn to love ourselves? Because loving ourselves is really one of the key aspects to learning to connect with spirit. So that was really the whole thesis. One of the things I wanted to talk about today was learning to love ourselves, which is so difficult for so many people. And it's really, it's sort of a core principle to spirituality. Because if you are able to love yourself, then you're able to love others. And that's really the principle of spirituality. So that was really what I wanted to talk about today. I know we've got a lot of people on today, and I'm just wanted to connect with them first, just sort of say hi to everybody. Hi, Karen, all the way from England. Great seeing you here. So good, and it's probably for you. It's probably what like 10:30 your time. What a dedicated what a dedicated viewer. I'm so honored to have you here with us. So thank you, Karen, all the way from England. And Hallie from Minnesota. Is it still cold? I think you had once said that it was like minus 40 or something in Minnesota. I just know it's just like really, really cold out there. And Trisha from Tucson, nice and warm. So we've got some opposing temperatures going on here. I'll take warm temperatures any day of the week. We've also got Melissa. Hi, Melissa. How are you? All the way from Louisiana. Another nice warm state, nice warm temperatures. So I think we've got a preponderance of people who are in the warmer weather. Um, so just great to be with you all, and it's so much fun to really have everything that we talk about every week. So let me just dive right into today's topic. See where we can go, and if you've got questions, of course, just ask me, and I'll be happy to really work in on that. But one of the things I wanted to start on was to know that really the essence of spiritual growth is learning about what our inner self is. What's our true essence? Because when we are trying to raise our spirituality, we begin by thinking, well, am I talking to or connecting with some being that's out in the universe? The first principle you've got to understand is that we're all spirit. I've mentioned this many times, and you've probably heard me drone on 1,000 times, but I just want to remind everybody that yes, we are all spirit incarnate. So the true essence of our being is spirit within. That's really what we are. It's that inner spirit. This flesh, this body that kind of is temporarily here. It's not something that we connect with all that often, and it's really sort of think of it as a house, and the true being that you are is on the inside. So think of it that way. Now, the problem is that many people make the mistake of thinking that their true being is their ego self, their ego mind, their essence is just something that it's me versus the rest of the world. It's that us them feeling where the ego is trying to protect us from the outside world, and so it basically puts up walls between what we deem to be the outside world, the rest of the world, and us. It's really something that we had in childhood, And it's really a mechanism that we began to develop in childhood because we were trying to protect ourselves from the fear that we had in childhood from those that were protecting, those that were working with us, because they were in control. We wanted something, they had the control. We had to do everything we possibly could to get what we wanted from them that were in control. And our ego created a persona. How do I act so I can get what I need and get what I want? It was no longer that, hey, anything goes. It's, hey, I got to create this persona to protect myself from the rest of the world, to protect myself from those beings, whether they were parents or maybe when you were older, maybe they were classmates, whatever it was. They were people that were with you that you wanted to have some kind of interaction with. That's where the ego comes in. And then over time, you begin to realize that you've got this ego self, because when you're really young, you actually came in from the spirit world. And when you come in from the spirit world, when you're very young, and the older you get, your connection to all that's divine, to all that's spiritual, just begins to slip away because you're trying to fit in. You're trying to adapt to the world that is around you. And so you soon forget your connections to the spiritual realm, the realm of the divine, and you try to fit in to your material world, your surroundings. And so your personality, your ego begins to take shape, and you begin to feel that separation between source and spirit and you. That's that separation. So you're trying to overcome your fear. You're trying to seek success in life as you get older. Maybe you try to get an education. Maybe you try to become successful in a career. Maybe you try to have a family. So the older and older you get, you're trying to get these successes and feel better and keep on growing in this material plane that you're so used to. And if you can do that, then one of the things that your ego mind feels very good about is, hey, I'm successful. I'm doing well, I'm fitting in. But you're really trying to seek power, material aspects, material gain, and you're searching for more power, control, success, and even love from others around you. You're seeking externally, right? So it's a feeling of self-worth that all these years you were trying to acquire from outside of yourself. Like, you want to get a raise from the boss. You got to do something to please the boss. Maybe you're trying to get along with your friends at school. You got to do what the majority of your friends want to do. It's kind of like fitting in, right? So again, it's this ego mind. You want to fit in, but you're also trying to acquire things at the same time. So it's really that effort to overcome your fear, and that's kind of what the ego is all about. Remember, it's this deeply seated desire inside to do this. But at some point, perhaps in middle age, you start to realize that there's more in life to seeking material things, right? And material possessions, you're starting to realize, isn't there more to life than just gaining, 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 gaining? You start to open up a little bit, and you start to kind of think about what lies beyond the material world, what lies beyond acquiring things materially. And you start to seek out spirituality because you realize there's more. You realize maybe there's something that I can give rather than take. What can I give? Because all my life so far, I've been taking, and acquiring and gaining all these material possessions, right? So if you begin to walk down that spiritual path, you begin to ask yourself, what can I do for others? Can I do things for other people? And so it's like at that point where your spiritual growth really begins to kick in, because you're starting to look outside yourself. You're starting to see, how can I help people? How can I do for others? What is it that I can do for other people instead of gimme, 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 right? So it becomes a question of altruism. I mean, being charitable and giving to others can either be altruistic, truly like you want to help people, or there's also still that ego mind can still slip in there. Like you can say, look at all the great things that I'm doing by giving away all this money or all these charities, or I'm a member of all these wonderful charities and volunteer organizations. Look how important I am. See how the ego slips in there? So is it altruistic or is it ego based? And so you got to watch what happens. And that's really where you begin to realize that you can always choose. You're always choosing ego versus spirit. So you got to watch it. And when you begin to realize that, hey, I really do want to help other people. I really do want to, keep that ego at bay, right? You begin to realize that there's more. There's a service mentality. You're trying to be of service to other people. You're trying to give to others just from a sense of love and compassion. You don't really care what you receive back. You're giving just for the pure enjoyment of giving. You're not expecting any rewards back. It's just for the pure help. No expectation of anything in return, just because you want to help out, right? You feel a need, you feel drawn to it. That's really the highest form of giving, is giving where you don't expect anything in return. That's really where your true spiritual growth begins to accelerate, because you want to be of service. You don't want anything in return. You are just here to help others, and that's where your love begins to explode. And perhaps maybe you start to realize, yeah, there is more spiritual stuff going on here. Maybe you start to read spiritual books. Maybe you start to connect with spiritual mentors. Maybe you start to develop spiritual practices. But you begin to increase your spirituality. And over time, you start to realize there's more and more and more. And all of a sudden, it's like somebody's opened the door. It's like, I've got so much that I didn't even know existed before. And it's like, wow, what can I do? What more? Because then you this great feeling of how wonderful it feels to help other people, how wonderful it feels to really give of myself, how wonderful it feels to be of service to others, because you truly do see that you're starting to make a difference in the world. And when that happens, you become, dare I say, addicted to the beautiful feeling that you're making a difference in the world. And so your focus on strength really strengthens, and your love of humanity begins to expand. And as your love for humanity expands, so too does your spirituality. But also you've got to learn to love the inner self still. It's all about learning to love the self. And that's really where you've got to learn that it's okay to love yourself. Others love you. The more that you are giving of yourself, the more that you're learning to love yourself and love others, you can start to see others begin to love you. They begin to really admire all the good that you're doing, and they're saying thank you, and you're feeling so much better about doing what you do. So once you begin to realize that there is a greater reality, because you started to open your spiritual eyes to this, and you're beginning to realize that, yes, you can love mankind. It's really sort of like a dawning awareness to universal consciousness, cosmic consciousness. You start to realize that there's something so much bigger than you, so much bigger than humanity, so much bigger than the universe, but it's alive and it's out there, and you want to connect with it. No longer are you just alone in this vast universe. You're actually beginning to connect with source energy, and you're beginning to realize, hey, this feels really familiar. I don't know why, but it feels really familiar. I know I've connected here before. I don't know why. Because you're starting to realize and remember, like when you were a little baby, oh yeah, source energy. I remember that feeling. I'm feeling connected to spirit too. Hey, I'm starting to remember things here, and you start to open up. You start to begin to understand that in fact your spirit is within, and it's temporarily housed in a physical body that's only here for a short time, but your spirit lives on forever, and that you were spirit, you are spirit, and you're going to go back to spirit. So it's all about the spirit. It's that true essence. It's that love. And it's like that's really what you want to begin to focus on. And you really begin to realize that it's the great spirit, source, whatever you want to refer to it as, that's where the love is coming from. So you've got to really sort of feel that love of yourself, love of humanity, love of others, love of spirit, love of source. And as you begin to increase this feeling of love, you begin to think, wow, there's divinity out there. There's unity consciousness. What else can I do? And the more you begin to focus on that divine energy and that love and that light that surrounds you, your ego mind begins to fall away. And as your ego mind begins to fall away, you begin to feel, hey, I can love myself. It's okay to love myself. If you're not focusing on ego anymore and you're doing good for others, then it's okay to love yourself, because as you love yourself, so too can you love others. And that's the name of the game. Is spirituality is all about loving others. It's loving mankind. And it's the most pure form of spirituality, is loving others. And that's really where, when you begin to allow your ego to fall away, that's where the unity comes in. Because it's no longer me versus them, the way the ego mind thinks. It's now all of us. That's unity consciousness. That's the singularity, where you are the singularity with everybody else. Everybody is one. That's the unity consciousness. And everybody's interconnected. Everybody's interrelated. And everything starts to fall into place, that we're all one. And that's when the magic happens, when you begin to realize that everybody is one, whether you're spirit, whether you're talking about the great spirit, whether you're talking about yourself, whether you're talking about people around you. Energy is this one big unity consciousness. So, and it's totality, and you have become totality at that point. And so again, it all comes down to choice. You're always going to have choice when you go through your spiritual journey. Are you going to be focusing on your ego, or are you going to be focusing on others? Are you going to be focusing on truth, spirit, and unity? Or are you going to be focusing on illusion, like material existence, like I am just my body, or I am sitting in a chair that's real, which we all know is not the case. Is it material? I want material things. I want money. I want a house. I want a car. Or do I want eternal? I want to focus on how I can improve my spiritual growth and know that I'm an eternal being. So you're always going through this awareness, these choices of what is it that you're always going to be involved with. And so your ego is always going to try to exert its hold on you all the time. That's its job, right? The job of the ego mind is to protect you. So when you start to kind of force it in the background, it's always going to want to jump forward and say, hey, wait a second, I got a job to do. I got to protect this guy. So it's always going to try to get involved, but it's your choice to say, no, I'm not going to let the ego get involved. I'm going to push it to the side, and I'm going to focus on others. I'm going to focus on, trying to keep it from, getting involved. So find your path. Focus on the path of love. Focus on the path of spirit. Focus on the path of your own journey. Everybody's got their own journey. Everybody's got their own machinations and whatever it is that is kind of like pushing and pulling. But when you begin to realize that your spirit, you're pulled by other spirit energy. You're pulled in that direction. You just feel you've got to go the next step forward, and it becomes a journey that starts to pick up speed. It's kind of like an old steam train that just starts to move forward, slowly chugging, but after a while, it's got the momentum, and then it just doesn't stop, right? So that's just really one aspect. So that was kind of what I wanted to talk about today, was really what is it about spirit that is so fundamental? What is it about our inner spirit and loving our inner spirit that can allow us to love others? So I've been rambling for a good 30 minutes. Hopefully, this is something that will really help you. And let me see if there are questions about everything I've just been, talking about. And let me go see what's out there. And Algra just mentioned that she had a dream that she was out of her body, that she can teleport. Very cool. That sounds awesome. So, not quite sure what the question is. Oh boy. It sounded like you had quite a dream, quite a sort of like an out of body experience type dream, which happens to a lot of people. But just know that when we are feeling our spirit leave our body when maybe it's a dream, that's okay, because our spirits leave our ethereal bodies, leave our physical bodies every night. And of course, they come back, but our astral body actually leaves our body every night, attached by a silver cord. But it's something that way we're always in contact with spirit when we're in our subconscious state. We're asleep. So hopefully that kind of helps answer that question. If there are other questions, please type them in the chat. Because what's so important that I really want to kind of get across is focusing on our spirit. If we are focusing on our spirit, we'll be able to connect with the spirit that surrounds us. If you remember, I've always been saying that spirit's always here. It's us that gets in the way, right? So focus on the fact that we're spirit. When we begin to realize that we are spirit, we'll be able to know and feel and connect with spirit that much easier. And Jill's asking a question here. Do we choose who and how we're going to be in the physical world before we get here? Yes. Good question, Jill. The short answer to your question is yes, we do. Because what happens is when we're still in the spirit world before we incarnate, we're trying to learn lessons. We're trying to set up. Think of the Earth School think of the Earth like a school, right? We're coming here to learn lessons. So the whole principle of reincarnation is for the spirit to come back into a body, come back into the Earth experience, so that we can learn different things from experiences. And so we're going to have very specific bodies, very specific families, very specific people that we interact with, so that we can learn different experiences. We can have different experiences, whatever those experiences are. And we'll design our life in such a way that we're going to have different experiences. And the reason I use the word experiences is because how else do we learn, right? Think of, and I use this example a lot, think of the 5-year-old who's told 20 times, don't touch that hot stove. But does he ever listen? Of course not. And the only way that 5-year-old is going to learn not to touch the hot stove is by touching the hot stove. Ow! And then suddenly he realizes, wow, that's a hot stove. I'm never going to touch that again, right? So it's those painful experiences that literally get seared into our consciousness that we learn from. And all growth is not necessarily pleasant. Quite often it's painful experiences like that 5-year-old touching the hot stove that we learn from the most. That's some of the biggest growth that we can possibly have. And that's why spirit, when we're in spirit, we come down for specific painful experiences that we grow from, whether it's frustration, and maybe it's we want to learn patience, maybe we want to learn forgiveness, maybe we want to learn tolerance. Think of the different things a spirit might want to learn, and then flip it around and say, okay, how am I going to learn that? What experiences do I need to have in order to learn from those experiences to expand my knowledge about forgiveness, right? Hope that explains it somewhat. And also Jill's asking, do we choose differently in each reincarnation? Yes. As far as reincarnations going, just remember that we all travel in large packs, I guess you want to call them, large spirit families. And so which could be anywhere from 100 to 150 people. And we're all going to interact with each other and learn different lessons from each other, and we'll make agreements. Hey, I want to learn forgiveness. Bob, can you help me work on forgiveness by being the nasty neighbor next door? Bob goes, sure, I'll be that nasty neighbor if that's what you want, but I got a favor for you. Can you be the person that's going to teach me tolerance? I'm going to be somebody who's going to be really, intolerant, and I need to learn tolerance. So can you be to do that? And so we'll keep on swapping, right? Players, actors. As Shakespeare said, we are all actors upon the stage. What was the quote? The world is merely a stage, and we are merely actors on it, right? And that's what we are. We're actors. We're just changing out of our costumes each go round. And as we go onto this world stage, this Earth School, each go round, we're coming down in a different costume, but we're still working with each other. So I hope that doesn't confuse you and kind of gives you some answer as to what you were asking about, because I think you were asking about, are we choosing differently? So yeah, we are coming back differently. So if there are other questions, please let me know. One thing I also wanted to let people know is that at the end of February, specifically, February 23rd and 24th, I've got a free class that I'm going to be offering, and that class is all about how you can improve your intuition, how you can improve your spiritual awareness, how you can raise your connections with the energies that are next to you, the spirit that's next to you all the time. And class will probably, be about an hour or so. And actually, let me see if I can just get the what it looks like here. This is kind of the site for the class. It's called How to Improve Your Intuition and Spiritual Awareness. And you can see below that's the link, that's the website. It's class.montclairmedium.com, and it's February 23rd and 24th at 6 p.m. And Jill said, thank you. Great explanation. Well, I'm glad I was able to help you, Jill. That's one thing I always try to, work on. And Karen has said, that she's had a lot of anger due to pain and suffering. I can appreciate that. That's certainly something that has been around for a while for a lot of people. Um, and looking up, let's see, looking. I'm trying to. This is a long question here. Um, Always seeing spirits. Good. Okay, good. Well, Karen, basically, it sounds like you're certainly always seeing spirit. You're on a new journey, meditating. Oh yes, absolutely. And that's another thing. In this class that I'll be talking about, I'll include ways that you can meditate effectively. Because for a lot of people, it's all about. So many people have difficulty with their meditation because they're so ungrounded. They're so they have such difficulty with their meditation because they're always thinking a mile a minute, right? They're always thinking, what is it that I need to do to get a good meditation? They go into meditation and then they're thinking, okay, my mind has to be silent. Well, number one, your mind will never be silent because you're human. Number two, you're always thinking, oh, I got all these bills to pay, or I got to take out the dog, or I got the trash, or whatever it is. So our minds are always, rolling a mile a minute. So in this class, I'm going to also talk about different ways to, improve your meditation, ways to kind of calm your mind. All these ways will help you try to improve your overall spirituality and your spiritual awareness. Also, going to do a couple exercises on your outlook on life. What is it that you need to improve your outlook on life? So we'll do an exercise about gratitude and working with a gratitude journal. Because if you have done any kind of exercise like this before, it's all about what is it that can make you feel the happiest right now. And I think I've used this example in the past where some of the most happy people in the world have the least uh, material possessions and the least things possible. And why is that? Because they are not taking things for granted and they are grateful for the little things that they have. Maybe it's their family, maybe it's food, maybe it's shoes on their feet, maybe it's a roof over their head. Things that we take for granted, right? And we're just like, but these are people who don't have anything, and they're some of the happiest people because they take it, so seriously, and they're so focused on being grateful. So that's really a big exercise we'll do in that class too. We'll also work on ways that you can really focus on your connection to spirit. Maybe some people want to connect with loved ones in spirit. Maybe some people just want to know who their guides are. Maybe some people want to know, how can they improve their own life. So we'll talk about all of that, because it's all basically under the same umbrella of spirituality and spiritual awareness and using your innate intuition because everybody can connect. It's like a piano player, right? Anybody can sit down on a keyboard and play music on a piano. Thing is, you're not going to sit down on a piano and immediately go to Carnegie Hall. It takes a lot of practice, right? Well, it's just like spiritual awareness. It's just like spiritual connection. You have the abilities inside. You just got to connect. And that takes practice. And you got to know, okay, what keys do I have to press to make this chord? How do I work with that chord? And can I make pretty music and get my fingers used to doing that over and over and over and over again? So it's just practice. It's just repetition. And you can do it because the first example I would use is we've all got intuition. We've all got like a gut sense, right? We'll walk up to somebody and suddenly have this feeling of, wow, I'm not sure if I like this person. There's something wrong here. Or we walk out the door and we're like, what? Wait a second. What about the umbrella? Nah, forget it. And then we just go our merry ways and we come back and we're soaking wet, right? So just think about all these examples. We're constantly connecting with our internal senses, our non-physical senses. So if you practice with them, great. That's what it's all about. And so we'll cover all this on the class again. And so here's the class information one more time in case you're interested in it. That website is class.montclairmedium.com. That's where you can register for it. If you want to just kind of expand your own awareness, expand your own intuitive abilities, because we've all got them. The question is, how do you use them? So that's something that is really important. And Melissa's asking a question: how can you tell the difference between spirit and your own mind? Perfect question, Melissa. I love that question. That is like the biggest question on the planet, and it's an important one. I'll definitely cover this in the class, but just shortly now, when you're connecting with spirit, you'll know that spirit information is starting to come to you. If it starts to give information that is non-sequential, and by that what I mean is maybe you're going along thinking a series of thoughts, one after the other, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then all of a sudden you'll get something that's completely unrelated to your stream of thought. If you're just sitting there and your thought has been going along a certain pattern, certain stream, and then suddenly pop, something else comes in without any connection to your thought process, that's spirit. Maybe you're sitting in silence and suddenly the classic phrase, out of the blue, right? When something drops into your head out of the blue, that's spirit. And also sometimes you'll feel spirit's energy around you. For me, whenever spirit's around me, I'll feel spirit kind of like an energetic blanket wrapping around me, especially around my upper arms. If I feel them either putting their hands on my arms, around my arms. Sometimes I'll feel their hands on my shoulders. Sometimes it's like a blanket just wrapping all around me. So you'll definitely feel energy. Some people have it in different places. Some people will smell them. So there are different senses, different things that begin to affect your senses that aren't normally there. So when something's different, very different, that's when you know spirit's there. So I hope that helps to answer your question, Melissa. And let's see. That looks like that's most of the questions. So if most people are done with the questions, we've been working for this for about 45 minutes. Again, a little longer than I thought, but this is lovely. I'm glad that we were able to connect again, talk about spirit, talk about the spirit within, and talk about the love, the fact that it's okay to love ourselves. In fact, it's most important to love ourselves. And the analogy I'll always use is, when you're on an airplane, right? And the flight attendant comes on and says, in the event of a cabin pressure and the oxygen mask drops down, put the oxygen mask over your mouth, your face first, and only then can you give the oxygen mask to somebody else. The same thing. You got to, love yourself first before you can love anybody else. Because if you don't love yourself first, you're not going to have any love to give. Love yourself first. Fill yourself with love. Once you've loved yourself and you've filled yourself with love, then you can share your love with others. And that's when your spiritual journey begins. So, with that, thank you very much, everybody, for joining. And I'm so glad to see everybody here. And this is really lovely to give you all this information. It's like this is what I do. This is what I love doing. I love sharing everything I've learned over my years from my experiences, because I came from a very different background, let's say. Let's just say I came from a very materialistic, agnostic background. And to be here, I'm just kind of like, it's so simple to understand. Once you begin to have somebody say A, B, C, D, E, you begin to understand it. Yes, it's great. So I love doing that. I will see you next time, next Wednesday at 5:30. And again, if you are interested in that free class on the 23rd and the 24th at 6 o'clock, please sign up. And I look forward to seeing all of you here. So until then, have a wonderful time. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Bye-bye for now.